Hello my friends and welcome to episode 9 of the JP Gaming Podcast. So today, once again, we've got some news, we've got what I've been playing and we've got much more. But first, as always, we're going to open up with our little opening game. So today, our opening game is Donkey Kong, the arcade original. So released in 1981, obviously developed and published by Nintendo and created by the legendary Miyamoto. It was Miyamoto's first project, and it was given to him because all of the other designers were busy, and Nintendo were in desperate need of a new game because Radar Scope, which is what they hoped would crack the American market, failed miserably, and they needed to replace all of the cabinets, so they needed a new game developed pretty quickly. Everyone was busy, so they went to Miyamoto, offered him the chance, and obviously he created a massive hit. So it was actually one of the first games to have a cutscene. So when you put in the coin at the beginning, instead of just flying straight into the action, you see a little cutscene of Donkey Kong climbing up, stealing Mario's girlfriend, and then you sort of jump into the game. So at the time, that was quite revolutionary. It was the first arcade game to have that, and then obviously it led to what we now know today as like fully told stories in computer games. So quite a little bit of interesting information there. Obviously, I'm sure everyone's aware of this, but Nintendo were sued by Universal because of Universal thought it had likeness to King Kong, and obviously they just wanted to get in on the obscene amount of money that Nintendo were making. But Nintendo took on the movie giant, and they won, and then the rest is history really, because that sort of led to them being a bit of a powerhouse and a bit of a dominant force throughout the late 80s and 90s really. So yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Donkey Kong. I still play it regularly today. We've actually got a arcade cabinet at work that runs an emulated version of Donkey Kong, and me and a couple of guys often go up there and have high scoring competitions at lunch. And I'm pleased to say that after being second for a little while, I've actually beat the high score, and then I went and beat my own high score. So I'm the current high score holder in my company, which is quite good. But I just love Donkey Kong. It's timeless. It still holds up today. It's just loads of fun, and you know, it's pretty challenging. It is difficult, but once you've got the hang of it, obviously you can get past the first few levels once you know what you're doing and you've got that muscle memory. But it's just loads of fun, and when you die, you just want to jump back in and you want to try and beat your high score. So I can see how they made loads of money with everyone just piling in their quarters or their 50p's, depending on where you was based, obviously. So yeah, that was Donkey Kong. Pretty special game for me, pretty iconic for gaming as well. So I thought I'd open with that one today. So we're going to jump into the news. There's a little bit of news this week. There's not as much as last week. It's a little bit quieter. We've obviously had the PlayStation presentation. We've had the Nintendo Direct. We've had the Pokemon presentation as well for their anniversary. So yeah, it's pretty quiet in a minute. There's not a lot of news to talk about this week. I guess the next big thing may be when Nintendo release their official plans for the Zelda anniversary, rather than just what we see on the Direct. But I'm going to run through what I've come across, which I feel is worth talking about and what is newsworthy, and then we will go into what I've been playing. But as always, before I do, you can contact me on contactjpgaming@gmail.com. That's contactjpgaming@gmail.com, as well as obviously leaving a comment in the YouTube comment section if you are listening on YouTube, or on my Instagram page. There's a load of posts on there. You can leave a comment on either of those posts, or you can DM me on there. But yeah, the email is a good way to contact me as well. So if you've got any feedback, if there's anything you want me to talk about, if there's anything you want to talk to me about, if there's anything you'd like me to put up on my YouTube channel, then fire it over and I'll see what I can do. And as always, if you are listening to this on the YouTube, or if you just feel like checking out my YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and help me grow, because it would mean the world to me, because I'm a fairly new channel, and it'd be nice to sort of grow, get my videos out there a little bit more, get them a bit higher up the YouTube algorithm and the YouTube search results, and then hopefully we can get a nice little community going. So anyway, straight into the news. So we're going to start, there's a bit of Nintendo news to start with. So I thought what I'll do this week is I'll sort of bunch the Nintendo news together, because I'm a bit of a Nintendo fan, so there's always a bit of Nintendo news here. So I thought I'll bunch that together, and then we're jumping to like the rest of the news really. So there's only a couple of bits. There's only a couple of bits of Nintendo news, but the first bit is the next Tetris 99 Maximus Cup has been revealed, and it's based on Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury currently, and it runs from March the 4th, so it's currently already live, and it runs all the way through to March the 8th. So obviously that means it's a limited edition board. If you collect a certain amount of points, you can unlock that board to keep forever. So I don't really play Tetris 99 much anymore, but what I will do is I'll probably jump in to it, get the points I need, which you can crack out after sort of 4 or 5 games if you finish high enough up, and then you can keep the theme, because I usually jump in and I grab the ones for the themes that interest me, and obviously Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury does interest me, so I'll probably do that at some point before March the 8th, which only actually leaves me a few days. That's only on Monday, so I should probably jump into that tomorrow really if I want to do it. But I'll say tomorrow. I'm recording this on Saturday night, a little bit later than usual, so this may not be live on Saturday. You may be listening to this on Sunday, which is actually the 7th, so therefore you only have one day or 2 days, 1.5 days, depending on when you're listening, to get that. So if you are interested, you might want to get on pretty quickly and make sure that you can secure that for yourself. Keeping with a bit of Mario news, a tweet on the Nintendo Japan Twitter account has confirmed that Mario's 35th anniversary special content will be removed at the end of the month. So that's Mario 35 and Mario 3D All Stars. I mean, this is not a surprise. Obviously, that was announced originally when the content was announced, and I think everyone's probably expecting Mario 5 to go. A lot of people were hopeful that Mario All Stars might stay around, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. But I still reckon that they'll release those 3 games individually on the eShop, so then you can probably pick and choose what you want. I'm also really hopeful that they'll release Mario Galaxy 2 as well as a little bit of bonus DLC for that game. I mean, maybe if it was free for the people who own the physical, it would be absolutely amazing, but I can't see that happening. But that would be good. So yeah, if you want to pick up Mario 3D All Stars, I suggest you do that now before it removes. I think the cartridges will obviously still be in stores until they sell out. I can't imagine them pulling them from stores and just destroying them, but I don't think they are. So from what I understand, there was quite a lot of those made, so you'll probably still be able to get it for a little while after anyway, but I may be wrong with that. And yeah, Mario 35, that was a fun little game. I played that when it first came out. It's obviously their take on Tetris 99. It's the original Super Mario Bros. From the NES, and there's 35 of you on screen, and you're running around, and as you kill enemies, they go to other people's screens, and then you collect time, and your time goes up, and it's the last Mario standing. And I've won a couple of games on that, which I was really happy with. I won a couple of games really early on as well, so that was good. I jumped in and I was doing really well. I was sort of coming third or second most times, and then I managed to win a couple of games, so that made me happy because I'm still yet to win a game on Tetris 99, although as I said, don't really play it too much anymore. And for the final bit of Nintendo news this week, just a little bit that I thought was quite interesting, and that's Nintendo, their president, Mr. Furukawa, has recently revealed that Nintendo feel it's important to respect fans' memories when creating new content for Nintendo characters. So he recently said, and this is a quote, that we must keep in mind that the origins of the characters are in the games. These are characters that fans have grown attached to through countless hours of playtime. We must develop those characters in a way that won't destroy fans' memories of the characters in their worlds. We always proceed with caution as to not damage the value of the brand. He continued to say, if we want to increase the sales in the short term, there are other ways to do so. It's more question of what we can do to keep Nintendo's beloved brand in the long run. To keep Nintendo a beloved brand in the long run. That's the debate we often have internally, and sometimes I think carefully about as I make decisions. There's always a risk of destroying the Nintendo brand, which was spent over 30 years building. So that's quite interesting, because obviously we're there when he says that if we want to increase sales in the short term, there are other ways to do so. I'm assuming that he's probably talking about spin-off games, so things like Mario Party, Mario Golf, putting the characters in Super Smash Brothers, etc. But when you're thinking about Mario or Zelda or Kirby or any of that Metroid, any of those big hitters from Nintendo, we generally only get it. It takes years to get a full mainline Mario game. It takes years to get a full mainline Zelda game, except Metroid, etc., Mario Kart. So generally there's only really one a generation. Sometimes you might get two if you're lucky, but generally there's only one a generation, and that's because I think they just sell so well anyway, that they're such long-term high sellers that there's no reason to destroy that sales base and by releasing a sequel, because then nobody's probably going to buy the original if there's a new version out. But it also helps keep them games iconic, and it helps keeps them enjoyable, and it keeps them fresh when new versions come out, because they're not just saturating the market. We haven't had 100 Mario games. We get an Assassin's Creed every single season, and every single year even. Sorry, and all it's done is just watered down that game so much, and they're now not that enjoyable to play, and they've moved so far away from what made Assassin's Creed popular. And as a big Assassin's Creed fan, I'm not interested in the new ones. Although Valhalla does look very good, I've not actually played it. It does look very good, I've got to admit, and I'm interested in that. But that's more because I want to play as a Viking more than the actual Assassin's Creed story and mechanics of the Assassin's Creed game, because they've just moved so far away from them, and they're just so watered down. And it's the same as Call of Duty and plenty of other games that we just get year on year on year on year. And Nintendo don't do that, and I think that's why their games sell so well, because when you get a Mario game or when you get a Zelda game, it's a finished, polished game. It's a finished product, and it always plays really well. It's got a great story, they've got great mechanics, they're great gameplay, they look nice, they run well on Nintendo systems. Obviously, as everybody knows, they make systems for their games, they don't make games for their systems. So yeah, and it's interesting that's what he said. Obviously, that ties in with what we all know about Nintendo. So yeah, and obviously it bodes well in the future as well for upcoming Zelda, Mario, upcoming IP from Nintendo, because we know that they look after their brand, we know that they look after their IP, and that's why they don't really like licensing it out to anyone really, because they're so protective of it. And some people don't like that, but it obviously it's held them well over the years, and yeah, hopefully, for me anyway, I hope they will continue down that route. So moving on to a little bit of extra news, or the rest of the news, we've got Remedy Entertainment, so the makers of Control. They've just announced that they will be making 2 new games, and they will be set in a shared universe. So one of them is going to be a AAA title, and apparently the other one's going to be a smaller experience. But they've announced that they're going to be set in a shared universe, so that's quite interesting that they want to make this kind of universe that everything's set in. Pretty cool. I was a big fan of Control, actually. I quite liked Control. I liked Quantum Break as well. And obviously they did Alan Wake, but I never played Alan Wake. But I do have that on, I believe, my Epic account, because I think it was given away as one of their free games at some point. And I do own it on Xbox 360 as well. I had a download code with the Quantum Break. You got it as a bonus. I don't know if I bought a deluxe edition or if it's a pre-order bonus or whatever, but I had a code for the 360 version of Alan Wake, and I just never really got around to playing it. So maybe I'll get into that one day, but thought that was quite interesting. We've also had some more news on Diablo 2, the Resurrected, so the remaster, and this is really cool. They've announced, or they've announced that if you still have your original Diablo 2 save, you will be able to use them in the remaster. Now that is amazing. I believe that game's over 20 years old now, so I can't imagine there's many people who still hold their Diablo 2 saves. I certainly don't have mine, which is a shame, because it would have been nice to have used that character on the remaster, because I'll probably be picking that up. But that's really cool. That's really cool that they've implemented that feature. I'm pleased with that. It's good. And they've also announced that it will feature 4K graphics, 7.1 surround sound, and upgraded 3D models. But it will have the ability to switch back and forth between the original graphics and the new graphics, so that's pretty cool. A bit like the Command & Conquer remaster did. You could switch between the original and the old, and I think even Halo does that on the Master Chief Collection. You could switch between the original and the remaster. So that's pretty cool. And obviously Diablo 2, I believe it's coming out this year, and it's coming out on pretty much everything: PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Nintendo Switch. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'll probably be picking up Diablo because I did like Diablo 2, so be interesting. As long as it's not too expensive, I'll be picking that up, I think. We also got news that Doom 3 is being ported, and this time it's being ported to PSVR with the VR edition. And it's going to be launching on PS4, obviously, because that's what the PSVR is, but it will be backwards compatible with PS5. All you got to do is get yourself a little adapter. It's free. I believe it's still free, but it certainly was free before the PS5 come out. All you had to do was go onto their website, put in your serial number for your PSVR, and they would send you an adapter that you could plug back in, because obviously the port for the PSVR isn't on the PS5, so this is a little adapter that allows you to use all of the leagues that come with the PSVR. So that's quite interesting. I know Doom 3 wasn't everybody's favourite Doom, but it's interesting they've done that. It looks pretty good from the trailer. There's a trailer out, obviously. You can see that just on YouTube. You can see that in a wide variety of places, obviously, on YouTube. So check it out if you're a fan of Doom. I probably won't jump into it because I've got a PSVR, but it does make me feel pretty sick. I get the motion sickness, and it just doesn't really work well for me. And I don't know whether Doom will be the best game for me to play if I'm struggling with VR anyway, and then you're sort of running around in a Doom environment. It might not be the best for me, so I'll probably skip on that, unfortunately. But it's a shame. I mean, if there's a demo, I might get the demo and try it. So let's hope there is. I'm not sure if there is, but it'd be nice if there is, and then at least I can just see what it's like. And for our final bit of news this week, Sony have brought back their Play at Home initiative, which they done last year. To obviously, because of the pandemic, they wanted to encourage people to stay at home, so they offered a couple of free games last year, and it was The Journey and Uncharted. I can't remember if it was the collection or if it was Uncharted 4. I think it was the collection. But and they were basically, you could redeem them during the when in the month that they was available, and they are available to keep forever. It's not like the PS Plus; you don't have to have a subscription. They was available to redeem, and you keep them forever. And they've done that again this year. And the first game they've released is Ratchet and Clank, so that's the 2016 version. And again, they've confirmed that there's no time limit as long as you redeem it within the month of March. You can keep that for free. It's unfortunate because I've already played Ratchet and Clank, and I think it's on the PS Plus collection as well, and I do own it on disc, so I've already got access to that game a couple of times. But that's good for anyone who hasn't played the Ratchet and Clank on the PS4. Then play that, because that's a really, really fun game, and obviously it will get you nice and ready for the Rift Apart if you have a PS5, and if you're looking to pick that up on the PS5. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing any more games for the month of March, but obviously you can't complain, because a free game is a free game, and it's pretty cool that PlayStation are doing that. Just gives someone something to play. You know, it gives you a reason to stay in as well and not go out and spread the virus. Obviously, it looks like we're coming to the end of it now, so let's just keep going a bit longer, and all these games will obviously help you do that. So that's it for the standard news today. We're at about 17 minutes, so that's about right. It's probably about right for our little 30-minute podcast. I know last week's one was a little bit longer, but as always, we've got one little bit of retro news. So this is just following on from something that I touched on a couple of episodes ago, and that was about a new Nintendo mini-series that's coming out, a documentary series, and that's a little 5-part series called The Nintendo Story, Playing with Power. And that is now available. It's launched. All 5 episodes have been launched, and that's available on Crackle, which is a streaming service, a US only streaming service, but you can watch it without an account. You do have to be based in America to watch it, because it will not work if you don't have an American IP. So you can watch that by over a VPN. If you've got a VPN, you can watch that, because just switching to an American IP will allow you access to that, and that's free. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I've watched episode 1, and it's very, very interesting so far. I like it. It obviously starts from the beginning, and we're up to the NES at the minute. So yeah, pretty good. So check that out if you're a fan of Nintendo or just video games in general, because they touch on a couple of other bits about early video games, early arcade games as well, and the origins of them with Atari and everything else. So really interesting, and something I'm looking forward to watching the rest of. So that is it for the news today. We're going to do what I've been playing, and this week there's actually not that much because I've been pretty busy this week and I haven't had a load of time, and the time I've had has been taken up on one game in particular. So yeah, so just jump straight in with that. So I finished Godfall, as I mentioned last week, that I was right near the end of that, and it turns out I was very, very close to the end of that. I had one more mission to do, and then that was that done. So I've done that, and I've done a little bit of the end game content, but there wasn't really a lot to sort of keep me invested in it come the end game, which is a shame because I had a great deal of fun playing that game actually. But I could see what people were saying about the end game being pretty bare. But either way, for what I paid for it, I got it in a sale. It was £30, and you just can't go wrong for that. I got my money's worth out of that game because of just how good it looked and the fun I had playing it. So I don't regret that at all. And it's I've still kept it installed, and I'll probably check it out every now and again. You know, if I just want a little 10-minute mission of something, I'll probably just check that out every now and again and see if there's any new content available. But for now, I've completed it and I'm pretty much done with Godfall. Another game I've just played a tiny bit of, and that is I've played a little bit more Hades. I've done a couple of runs on that. I'm actually halfway through one at the minute. I'm at the third world, or the third area. So I'm just coming up to the third boss, and I've got all of my lives, or my respawns, if you like, still available. So I'm doing okay on this run at the minute. I don't think I'll probably end up beating it because I just don't think I will on this run. But I'm still having loads of fun playing that game, and I'm still gonna, I'll still be doing a little bit here and there, and I'm just doing a little run here and there, and hopefully soon I'll be able to beat it. I've also started Spider-Man Remastered because I've beat Miles Morales. I beat that sort of straight away when the PS5 come out, but I bought the Ultimate Edition, so it included the remastered version of the original Spider-Man. Obviously it has all of the DLC in it, etc. I've got a little video recorded that I've got to release, so that will be coming out on my YouTube video shortly. It'll probably be coming out this coming week, I'd imagine. I've just got to finish uploading it and stuff, so that will probably be this coming week. But yeah, I mean, I played Spider-Man on the PS4, had loads of fun with it. I didn't do the DLC, but I 100%ed it, obviously prior to the DLC. So yeah, looking forward to just sort of finishing that again, and maybe jumping into some of the DLC. I'm not sure if I do it all because there's a lot there. I think there's like 3 DLCs, so there's quite a lot there. But I intend to 100% it again. I'm not that far at the minute. I'm a few hours in. But yeah, I'm still having loads of fun with it. It looks beautiful on the PS5. It looks amazing. I'm playing it in the dual mode, which is so they had a performance mode and they had a graphics mode originally. So there was a performance mode which was run at 60 frames, and then there was a graphics mode which ran at 4K. And then they released a patch which basically had an option that runs at 60 frames 4K, but it adjusts the resolution on the fly when it can't cope. So I've been running at that mode, and I've got to say, you don't notice the resolution drops at all, and it just looks absolutely amazing, and it's so nice and crisp at 60 frames as well. I'm having loads of fun playing that, and you just feel so cool flying around as Spider-Man, just beating up the bad guys. So really, really, really enjoying that, and looking forward to playing some more of that over the coming weeks as well. And then the final game, which is the one that's taken up most of my time, and that's Bravely Default 2. So I mentioned last week that I bought that on release day, and I put a few hours in by the time I recorded my podcast last week. Since then, I've put a bit more in. I've done a few bosses. I'm on chapter 2. I'm leveling up my characters. I've got a few jobs, and I'm kind of working my way through the game now, and I'm kind of figuring it out. The game is really good. It's a pretty standard JRPG in terms of it's really traditional. But with the job system and the brave in the default system, obviously mixes it up a little bit. But it's really traditional as well in terms of there is a bit of grinding in it, and then obviously each boss fight is kind of like a puzzle. You have to figure out what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are. They'll be immune to some weapons, immune to some spells, and you kind of are finding a bit like the old school JRPG games of the PS1 era, which is what I grew up loving. And that is, you might do the boss, you'll go in and you'll realise that the spec of your team, the spec of your party is just completely the wrong spec. Although you're at a high enough level, the spec is just completely wrong, and you realise that the jobs you've got equipped, or also for the spells, if you've got a mage equipped, you might have the wrong spells equipped, or you might have the wrong weapons equipped, or the wrong armour. You've just got completely the wrong build. So you go in and you might have to sort of do the boss maybe 1 or 2 times, Or you might even just have to go in and realise, actually, do you know what? He's got 2 guys with him, and I can't even damage them because they're just immune to the weapons that I've got equipped. So you just jump straight out of it, go in, play around with your party formation, play around with your party spec, go back in, realise that works, and then you maybe like a third or a fourth time is when you're actually be like, yeah, now I know my party's at the right spec. And then you can just smash them and fly through it. But yeah, so it's obviously I'm finding it difficult in the terms of time because I've not played a JRPG like this for a long time in terms of like the sheer amount of grinding and working out the bosses and the formation and the spec of your party. But I'm really enjoying it. They're my favourite type of game. Anyone who knows me knows that I love JRPGs, and I love the traditional ones with the turn-based combat. And learning the strengths and the weaknesses of the bosses and all the enemies, and then finding somewhere where maybe the enemies, the cannon fodder enemies are a little bit higher spec, but you can blast through them because your party's just spec'd just the right way, so you can go there and grind and maybe like boost your level a little bit. Really liking it, sort of stocking up on potions and tanks to get all your MP and your HP back at save points. So yeah, loads of fun with it, and I'm looking forward to playing some more of that. It's the game that's taking up most of my time. So yeah, so I guess until that's done, certainly over the next few weeks, the what I've been playing section will probably consist of Bravely Default 2 and Spider-Man Remastered, with a few other games thrown in. I want to try and get into Mario 3D World some more. Actually, that is one other game I played. I've done another world on that, so I'm up to world 6 now, which I believe is the final world, without like the Rainbow Rogue stuff, if that's what it's called on this. And I still haven't done any more Bowser's Fury. What I want to do with Bowser's Fury is just kind of sit down for a couple of hours when I'm not distracted, and I've got a couple of hours to just sit there and enjoy it, because that game, from what I've played of it so far, is just so charming and it's just absolutely amazing, and I kind of really want to enjoy it when I'm playing it. So it sounds silly, but I'm kind of waiting for the right time to get back into that and actually play it properly. And that will probably be when I'm a little bit further through Bravely and a little bit further through Spider-Man. I'll probably take a little break from them, go into Mario for a couple of days and maybe finish that off. So yeah, that is it for this week. Yeah, we haven't run too much shorter. It's a little bit shorter than normal, but we haven't run too much shorter. So as always, hit me up on that email, contactjpgaming@gmail.com. That's contactjpgaming@gmail.com. Throw us any questions, throw us any free feedback, throw us any suggestions, and yeah, check out my YouTube page in the meantime. So until then, we'll see you next week. Have yourself a lovely time, have a lovely week, have some fun, play lots of video games, and just generally enjoy. And until then, this was JP Gaming, and we are out.